Here's another competitor that's trying to track him down. Gabriel Medina had a real return to form in the back half of the season. He's up against Matt Wilkinson and Dusty Payne. A couple of competitors very hungry for big results to shore up a spot on the championship tour in 2016.
You know, adventurous. You have to keep looking around when this tide comes up like this. You know, I never know. Sometimes the waves aren't as obvious.
Well, we saw on camera at the end of that heat, Mick Fanning was sitting pretty close to Matt Wilkinson in the lineup, seemed to be pointing out some markers on the beach to Wilco. We'll see if that works in Wilco's favour at all as we have a lost board. Let's have a look at what happened here.
See Dusty right there paddling back out, this wave on his forehead, Ronnie. So is that what happened? He might have got pinned by that wave right there and snapped his leash.
Dusty's getting straight back out there as we see some movement. Sort of guys are out of contention.
Yeah, it's getting there, isn't it? You know, so at the back end of the year, these surfers are allowed to throw away 2 of their worst results, as we see Wilco getting annihilated on that closeout section. So, you know, that's going to make it a little bit misleading, but certainly the top 6 or 7 would have to be your cutoff. Gabriel Medina sitting at 7th. He's got 30,000 points. He would have to pretty much run the tables along with Kelly Slater.
Not too much changes at this stage as we see Medina now having a look at his first ride. Grabs that rail, stalling for the tube, finds some cover. He's still running and he'll find the exit. Up onto the lip. A brave floater effort but doesn't make it.
That was impressive. You saw him drag his body in the wall as he airdropped. Really maximized the depth there. He was pretty deep in that barrel and then stepped on the gas when he needed to. Right there, he dragged his body in, even got a little airborne and got really deep. He went up and over the foam ball, and then as soon as he realized he was nice and deep, he stepped on the gas there. So great tempo for Gabriel to max out that barrel.
And also a victory in Tahiti. He is so strong when it comes to locking himself into a deep barrel. And here's Matt Wilkinson. One of his better efforts so far in this heat. Just glides through a clean carve. Bit of foam to deal with on the face, doesn't make it easy. But the Australian bringing this one right through to the inside, looking for a strong finish. Nice floating re-entry to finish that one off.
Yeah, Gabriel Medina, I agree with you. He is sneaky good in the barrel. He's not the craziest guy. You know, there's guys like John, Owen, Kelly Slater who are, they're pretty crazy in terms of getting the biggest barrels. But here we go, live action.
Here he is again, Medina stalling. Just trying to get behind the curtain for as long as possible. And that wave just started to really get a little ugly towards the end, had a few lumps and bumps. Any early round exits if he wants to be there at the end of the year or even have a finish inside the top 5.
And you know, I think if you're Gabriel Medina in your headspace, you're thinking it'd be cool to grab a win, get in the top 5. I'm happy with that. I don't think he's thinking this is my year to win the title, but I love that he kicked it into gear to save some face and to, you know, show everyone, hey, watch out, I'm going to be here for many, many years. There's that wild re-entry from Wilco in that closeout section. And a couple of waves real quick for Wilco. He found that left-hander. It's funny how the goofy footers have really been sticking to those left-handers. They're on sort of a different part of that sandbar competitive game. And, you know, Dusty, that's been his weak point. You know, he, based on talent alone, he is a top 5 surfer.
Well, let's see what he can do here. Here he is grabbing the wall of the wave, maximising his time behind the curtain, has a great line through this pit. How far did he get through this barrel? That thing just reeled off once it hit the sandbar on the inside. Helped him go on to get the job done over Kelly at the end of the year. But here's a replay of Dusty's last wave. He was flying through that pit. And while we're at the break, this wave was with Ross.
Gabriel Medina searching for a backup score. Big ol' alley-oop right there. Wow, planted it. That's that extra gear that Gabriel Medina makes him so dangerous. This guy is not afraid to boost to the moon, so pretty solid. Just the one move for the wave. Quick little head dip. Bingo. Kind of clicks the tail around towards the beach. Nice little reverse. Not the, you know, the craziest one we've ever seen, but would have been nice for him to pull off that layback snap. It really would have, you know, spread that wave a little more even, made it easier for the judges to throw a big score.
We've been talking about just Medina's repertoire and just how much he's grown and just how powerful his turns are. There would have been a time in the past where Medina would have stopped the alley-oop and then looked for a big air reverse on the inside
I think Julian Wilson pops into my head straight away. You know, just a little bit older than Gabriel, but he's got a lot of parallels with his surfing.
Well, here we go. This is Medina just sneaking out of the barrel, taking a low road out of that pit. Well, here we go. This is Matt Wilkinson. He grabs rail and finds some cover and just falls as that wave opened up and wanted to let him out. And Wilkinson couldn't hang on.
You can see, look how many waves Gabriel he's caught. He's caught 2 or almost 3 times as many.
And here goes Medina once again, driving off the bottom, just attacking the lip, gets the fins free, but just can't land that ride over the falls.
No.
Maybe there's a miraculous back-to-back title hunt.
He's so good in these punchy type of beach breaks. It really matches his surfing in between doing big punts, big airs, and that smart tube riding. He knows how to get the job done.
He sure does. Well, there is so much more to come in the first round, but this heat is over. Medina moving on through to round 3. Up next, local boy Jeremy Flores with last year's winner John Florence and Alejo Munez.